I think say your mommy Tiano or static aside a baby, right?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. And your baby shall say. Dear call. Yes, been crazy. My children is all umbra house. Okay. I say, yeah, started a hotel inside. So I'm so open baby on my conference. Men frame a line issue be why hotel. Hotel stadium hotel. Stadium hotel never inside. Never on conference room. Men frame it be why. Bye bye. Yeah, wow. Mommy. Meba jo mbajo mbajo obi family ne kwache na te said the mo yi why na insure man why emo we do from there now they are to for okay. Yeah. Aja yango. Okay. Abusiafo me ma obi biara achi. Ema obi biara aha, ema obi biara ajo, baby biara obi ehwe yen efri. Baby biara so obi atie ye efri. Eye team legal wives and husbands. Ana ene nchebi ana enkran ye press conference. Ana eye ene day enso so Ashanti region eye Kumasi enso ene yenso ye press conference. It is a moti yenka na enye basabasayo nanso eye asundue kasa enkomo na yebedi akire Ghana man Asante man ene emu mpanimfo a omowo oman mu na yesrese ombetie yen ye kasa ye ba beka na omadi so aye ho adwuma edi aboa yen enti si yehia mu anom a na ye team legal wives and husbands ye support ye maame Akosua Serwaa fosu enunti na yehia mu aha na se mohwe yenso a yehia mu aha nom a na ye papa ye nua bema ya de nyina ye wofa Mr. Charles Kwadwo fosu a dodo na friend no Daddy Lumba na busuafo nimpon enso eka ye ho ana omoni yen ehia wa ha ye ba be ye press conference na mesre na makasa se yebeyi ye ho akyerɛ yɛn a tumu nya ɔmo ntanta na umbehunu yɛn a yisia na false messages na ya amanfo no mu bi de kɔ umbehunu no korɛ na enkoye nkyekire mu bebre mi a me kasai ye from yima no the grafter J okɔ app no so a ye from Nana Gomez guda me pe ana masaya ma team legal wives a me ye ohene benkun hene ni fa hene ahemfo ni nyina bi ewo team legal wives am sorry wo obatiwa eye vim power lady vim power house ana misaye ana Queen Emma enso so a platform so me ye ni fa hene ewo ehono na sanye yen kasanhye obi ano no mesre se free mensa benkum so eba no ye maame ote on so be kire ne ho no odi aba maame ti
with the ceremony leaders me am wo ha within the nanafia ye Charles Kodufusu na maba se bi a wo be nsi bia mo campaign ti
me da mo asi bebre me pacho me so me wo ha ye frɛ me anaboaten over media ne so me si so ana say and baby me so Queen Emma platform so eho na me pie Emma Queen Emma eho na me represent inti muhu ma ha me team legal wives and husband eno na ye wa ha say me da mo asi
I'm sure men so your framing charity nana Serwaa si abo charity nana Serwaa si abo edamasi
any other men so your framing men la ataka kaya me of Fransona kaya Charles for your face
enti abusiafo ya kyerɛ ye ho awie na kyerɛ yɛbɛhyɛ dwumadie no ase enima yɛse abetie wo hoi yedi ne hyew ana sɛ enam bi a mintimi emmɔ so di yedi a yedi ne hyew nti yɛbɛma yɛ maame ɛyɛ nana Serwaa si abo ona ɛbɛhyɛ the press conference no kasa ye no as nti e was so good nti ma ni say na ya na ya sa ye change of phone na say why
okay
if I'm on sorry
okay. Introduction and salutation. First of all, introduction and salutations for media release. We are team legal wives and husbands. Justice is not for sale. A coalition of ordinary Ghanaians, professionals, parents, and citizens. Under we shared belief in justice, accountability, and the unvarying scarcity of truth. We stand before
lighting it up
yeah, lighting it
a dim come on light
we stand before you.
no you can't yeah bro for you ni ayetwi Mr. Wadao why emane ha abrofo no kra katia ne kwachi o kan ye enko meboa katia ne kwachi
We stand before you as a collective voice of conscience, compelled by a profound sense of duty to our nation, its laws, and people. We are not politicians. We are not litigants. In the case of justice, injustice has been
Taking root.
taken root. I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Okay. We extend our profound gratitude to you, the members of the Fourth Estate, the media. Your presence here is not merely noted, it is essential in a climate where narratives can be manipulated and the, the truth buried. Your role as watchmen, investigators, and impartial communicators of the public is the bedrock of an accountable society. We trust you carry this fact we present today with accuracy and courage. We also acknowledge and speak directly to people of Ghana from every region and every walk of life. We speak to silent majority who believe in fairness, who respect the institution of marriage, and who expect the court to be temple of justice, not arenas of manipulations. Furthermore, we recognize our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who love Ghana is unwavering, whose remittance build our economy, and whose trust in the security of their legacy back home is currently under severe threat. We have convened this press conference because what you will hear is more than a family dispute. It is a case study in the procedure, magnificence, evidential disregard, and apparent bias within a court of law can conspire to strip a lawful wife of their dignity, her right, and her legacy. We are here to present documented fact, expose glaring contradictions, and issue a clear call of systematic integrity. The case of Mrs. Akosua versus a system that has failed her is a litmus test for the very soul of our nation justice system. We therefore ask of your attention, your document, your discernment, and your solidarity. Thank you. Who is Mr. Charles Kwajofosu? All right. Who is Mr. Charles Kwajofosu, Daddy Lumba? To understand the kind of injustice at hand, one must first understand the man at the center of it and the woman who stood beside him, building the very legacy now in dispute. Mr. Charles Kwajofosu, the musical titan known to the world as Daddy Lumba, was not a self-made island. His ascent from a talented young man in Insuta, Ashanti region, to the Ghanaian German high life legend was inextricably linked to the partnership, sacrifice, and foundational support of his wife, his legal wife, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa. The couple first married customary in Ghana in 1991 Kumasi bombshell. Later on, December 23, 2004, they solemnized their union under German law at a civil marriage registry in Bochum, Germany. This civil marriage created a monogamous, legally binding covenant recognized internationally. For over 2 decades following their customary marriage, Akosua Serwaa was the publicly acknowledged wife managing the home and family as Charles' career soared. Born on September 29, 1964, Mr. Charles Kojofosu musical journey began in Ghana. However, the pivotal leap to an international career, a move that would define a Burger life era, occurred when he moved to Germany in the 1980s. This relocation was foundational moment, and it was facilitated by personal connections. Indeed, it was upon meeting and uniting with Akosua Serwaa that Lumba's professional path was solidified and his most enduring legacy was forged. The documented professional partnership between Charles and Akosua began at the very dawn of his saddle. After forming the famous duo, the Lumba Brothers in 1988, with Nane Champon in Germany, with their crucial debut studio album being Yeye Aka Kwentu, which was produced by Daddy Lumba's wife, Akosua Serwaa, in their studio house. The duo became a major success and helped popularize the Burger high life genre. It is not a minor footnote, it is a critical fact. Their marriage was so fruitful that they decided to dedicate 6 months to producing the music in Germany, followed by another 6 months in Ghana to promote it. This was a frequent occurrence with mutual understanding. In 1993, whilst promoting the album Eyesikasem, Daddy Lumba continued his betrayal of multiple affairs. While staying in Achimota, Daddy Lumba ended up impregnating the daughter of the man who hosted them, Mr. Ahime. It is truly heartbreaking and interesting to note Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu's first son, Kevin, is only 3 months older than the other sibling, Denise. Lumba, unfaithful habits, continued with another affairs in Germany with another lady, Georgina, having a son, Derek, for him. This was a blow to Mrs. Akosua Serwaa, as this happened to be her friend and child mother of their children. In the face of betrayal, she diligently loved her husband, covering his multiple sins. He managed all the bills for her family as Daddy Lumba continued with his music career. She had to work 8 hours to defray a mortgage on their home, while simultaneously nursing their last child and taking care of 2 older children single-handedly. This was not the life of someone alienated or absent as being told in the media. This was the life of a spouse holding the fort, ensuring stability and protecting the family's assets, their home through her own labor. The assets themselves tell a story of joint enterprise. The narrative and court documents reference properties that are central to this case. The house at Tantra Hills, Dome, East Legon, with others including businesses. It is stated that these were built by Mrs. Akosua Serwaa and her husband. She was not a beneficiary of wealth created apart from her. She was a co-coordinator of their wealth, of that wealth. Their matrimonial home was a joint project. Sadly, in 2012, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa experienced the loss of her sister, prompting her return to Ghana for the funeral, which she attended alongside Daddy Lumba. During the time of his wife was aware of his frequent complaints of back pains. After returning to Germany later that year, they began necessary arrangements for his health and later surgery. Prior to procedure, he mentioned to his wife the urgent need to return to Ghana quickly and back in time for the scheduled surgery in Germany for their matrimonial abode. However, when he landed in Ghana, to her shock, he informed her of the real reason why he left to Ghana, which was that he failed to undergo the surgery in Germany as he didn't trust the healthcare providers. She questioned and was upset his decision as that was not planned nor discussion. However, he had made his ultimate choice as an adult. After the shock of his unplanned decision to remain Ghana, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa had no choice than to remain in Germany with her minor children and fend for them. As a mother of three, she had no option but to stand strong and face her new challenge of being the sole breadwinner of her home. Riddled with the burden of responsibilities, the mortgage, and many financial commitments, clearly she was, into brackets, abundant in block letters. Even during this abandonment, she still kept in constant communication and help towards her husband. Testimonies of the court documents reveals that it was the plaintiff, Akosua, who bought medication for her deceased husband. This case was so significant that the deceased himself confirmed in the video the video circulated on all social media platforms during his 60th birthday celebration. He also clarified false narrative which was in circulation that she had poisoned her husband, hence his hard health. How could she have poisoned when she lived miles away abroad? Her support was financial, medical, and safest always. Charles Kwadwofosu, aka Daddy Lumba, was a brilliant artist, no doubt, a musical legend, but his personal and marital woes living silently in the shadow of his outward success. Fundamentally, it is right to say Mrs. Akosua Serwaa was the very beacon of his success. Like the saying goes, behind every successful man, there is a woman. Mrs. Akosua Serwaa was simply that. She was his producer, financier, stabilizer, nurse, protector of his brand, and to investor and co-investor. To sever her from his legacy is not only a personal wrong, but a factual ensure of the very foundation upon which the legend of Daddy Lumba was built. He acknowledged her very raw and incomparable presence in her life by praising her effect towards her effort towards him in many of his songs, one being Nti Sɛ Adeɛ Ankyɛ Me A, documented in her official biography, in the financial realities she managed, and in the numerous properties they built together, which has all now become a bone of contention. Any honest account of who is Daddy Lumba? Who is Daddy Lumba? Must unequivocally answer, he was a man whose genius was unable and sustainable by his wife, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa for over 30 years. Mrs. Akosua Serwaa is now a venture where many of Priscilla's family members are currently working. This represents a wholesale diversion of legacy and income streams for the legitimate family of Priscilla Ofori. Second, the manipulation of funeral rites and finances. Following Daddy Lumba's death, Priscilla Ofori and his appointed family head, Kofi Usu, allegedly orchestrated funeral preparation that excluded the rightful widow and children. This necessitated a court injunction. The court's ruling of December 12, 2015 revealed the 7 facts. It found it necessary to order that the first respondents separate funds raised for funerals from the account of Daddy Lumba's Memorial Foundation, LBG. This implies a commingling of charitable memorial fund with funeral finances, a serious lack of transparency. The entire funeral was being orchestrated to present Priscilla as the sole widow, a public erasure of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa until the court forcibly intervened to mandate a planning meeting that included the actual widow and children. Third, the obstruction of justice and mourning. The circumstances surrounding Daddy Lumba's death are surrounded in action that prevented accountability and closure of this legal family. The body was allegedly moved from the home without police notification. The family was denied access to the body, and their request for an autopsy was blocked for nearly 8 months. While these actions may involve other actors, they created an environment where Priscilla Ofori was positioned as the sole gatekeeper of the deceased, intensifying the grief and powerlessness of his lawful wife and children. Fourth, the perpetuation of a false narrative Beyond the legal and marital harm, Priscilla Ofori and her associate have been instrumental in perpetuating a false public narrative. This includes the propagation of the claim that Mrs. Akosua Serwaa abandoned her husband 17 years ago, a claim definitely disproven by evidence of visits mentioned earlier and ongoing support, including the purchase of the medication, by positioning herself as a sole caring companion during his illness. She has clinically manipulated public sympathy to legitimize her claims and validate those of the true wife. For clarity of doubt, in 2011, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa children came to Ghana for summer holiday. We asked where was Priscilla. Subsequently, she was also in Ghana 2012. Where was Priscilla again? You see, whilst creating lies, the trail of proof is evident and was have these proofs, such as a visa time stamp to Ghana and communication with her husband. It is important to the public to understand and debunk false claims that Priscilla Ofori nursed him in sickness for over 10 years, as she claims, citing he was bed-bound and immobile for that lengthy period. However, it is interesting that before his surgery for his spine in 2013, Serwaa&Lumba was already involved with Priscilla because her first child with him was born in December 2011. During this so-called prolonged period of immobility, she bore 6 kids with the man.
Thank you very much. Abusiafo, I'm say Biana Yedrum. Edru Bia me na metwaso. Tiye change of setting. Senior. Di kai. Anna ye maame nso ensem kan ya okan no on my introduction. Anna okan ye nua be ma
a long key point in my
okay. Me pacho matemasi. Na ye make pese ye kind of brofuni wia. Near the abachi near summarize. Ye wo nananom nso dia ye pese ye bone tofa edema. Enti good. Good, Matia. Eti Abusiafo, we are here to go. Why? Okay. I think I'll go by the history of court cases, accusations, injunction, and the anatomy of injustice. The legal battle to affirm the marital right of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa is a chronicle of how procedural hurdles, evidential double standards, and a final ruling that defies logic have been used to sanction a grave injustice. Every step from filing to judgment reveals a system failing to protect a lawful wife. The initial action, a plea for recognition, the legal journey began on October 1st, 2025, when lawyers for Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu filed a writ of summons and statement of claim at the High Court in Kumasi, suit number JJ 12/20/2026. Her legal team, led by lawyer William Kwesi Esquire of Dominion Chambers, with Evans Opon Adoma Esquire and Henry Benjamin Atabedu Esquire, sought clear declaratory relief against 3 defendants. 1. Abusuapanyini Kofi Owusu Abuakwa family head, Priscilla Ofori, aka Odobroni, Transition Funeral Home, aka Enterprise Funeral Service. The claims were straightforward, grounded in her 1991 customary and 2004 German civil marriage. A declaration that she was the only surviving spouse. B, a declaration that only she had the right to perform widowhood right. C, an order restraining the family head from dealing with Priscilla Ofori as a spouse. D, an order restraining Priscilla Ofori from parading as the surviving spouse. The defendants, through their lawyers, opposed entirely. Priscilla Ofori, through her lawyer A.K. Osei Owusu Esquire, with Kwesi Mensah Nyakon Esquire, even filed a counterclaim asserting she was the validly customary married wife since 2010. The family head, Kofi Owusu, represented by Fati Ali Alasa Hudi Esquire, supported to narrate, alleging Mrs. Fosu had abandoned her husband and presented dissolution drinks years prior. The injunction A, temporarily beacon of due process, as the defendant rushed to bury Serwaa&Lumba on December 13, 2025, without involving Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu and her children. An urgent family, including the deceased sister Ernestina Fosu, filed for an interlocutory injunction. This was heard on December 12, 2025, before His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Kofi Diaba in the Accra High Court. Suit number GJ 0205/2026. The plaintiff's lawyer, Thomas Tinkran Ishon Esquire, with George Agbeko Esquire and Elizabeth Lamte Esquire, successfully argued for a halt to the exclusionary funeral plan. Justice Diaba ruled was a demand. Justice Diaba's rule was a diamond indictment of the defendant conduct. 1. He restrained Mr. Kofi Owusu from organizing the burial. 2. He restrained Transition Funeral Home from releasing the body. 3. He ordered Kofi Owusu to convene a meeting within 3 weeks that must include the applicant's spouses and children of the deceased to plan a proper funeral. Critically, he ordered the separation of funeral funds from the Daddy Lumba Memorial Foundation LBG account, highlighting grave concerns over financial coming. This injunction, issued by Registrar Doris Danswa, was a clear judicial recognition that due process and the rights of the immediate family were being trampled. It was a fleeting victory for transparency. The justice during the judgment, a masterclass in evidential asymmetry. A few weeks prior, the substantive case was heard before Her Ladyship Justice Dorinda Smith Atta at the Kumasi High Court. The judge delivered on November 28, 2025, and bearing the case tag TLP/HC/2025/04, became the instrument of injustice. The core of the injustice lies in the judge's radically different treatment of evidence from the two sides. One, the dismissal of the German marriage, which is the one that the plaintiff showed up. Justice Atta rejected the German marriage certificate provided by Mrs. Akosua Serwaa. Her reason, as detailed in the judgment, exposes a refusal to engage with the evidence properly. She stated the document needed authentication under Section 161 of the Evidence Act, requiring certification by the German authorities and then by the Ghana diplomatic mission. However, she then admitted that the plaintiff counsel argued there were practical hardships in meeting these demands on time. Instead of using the court's authority to facilitate this process, she required verification via mutual legal counsels, or even accept the document conditionally pending authentication. She simply rejected them. She fixed on the absence of spousal signatures on the German certificate, using this to question its validity, while acknowledging she is not a signature expert. She failed to ascertain through proper inquiry, a basic judicial duty that German civil marriage certificates do not typically bear the spouses, signatures, and fact that could have been easily verified. She dismissed photographs of the signing ceremony and letter from the German embassy. Most in the Kumasi High Court judge, her leadership during the Atta Smith, she did not order a forensic audit or seek official verification from Germany. She used a procedural bar to exclude the central piece of evidence, declaring Exhibit B, B1, and C as having to probative value. Secondly, the acceptance of the customary marriage claim, the second defendant evidence, is sharp contrast. Justice Atta accepted Priscilla Ofori's claim of a 2010 customary marriage based on evidence that would not survive the slightest scrutiny if the same standard was applied. The primary witness was James Beniako Boating, which is the DW1, Priscilla Ofori's brother-in-law. He testified to attending a marriage ceremony at Tantra Hill in April 2010. No marriage certificate, no independent witness from the groom's family who attended this alleged ceremony. No photograph evidence. No photograph evidence of the event itself was required. The court accepted the single interested testimony of the relative. This acceptance flies in the face of Priscilla Ofori's own sworn declaration to other official bodies. Her 2025 British visa application and company registration, where she consistently declared her marital status as single. The court did not reconcile this irreconcilable contradiction. A person claiming to be a wife since 2010 does not declare herself single in 2025. The court also accepted evidence of public cohabitation and children as proof of a customary marriage, while dismissing the significance of the plaintiff's children and decades of prior marriage. The outcome and the lawyers. In this environment of asymmetric scrutiny, Justice Dorinda Smith-Atta ruled that 1. The plaintiff's German marriage could not be proven. 2. Both women were customary married to the deceased, which is the plaintiff in 1991 and the second defendant in 2010. Therefore, both were surviving spouses. The legal representatives for the third defendant, which is the funeral home, were Ebenezer Eje Bediakon Esquire with Edward Omane Esquire. The irony of the injunction lapses. Adding insult to injury, the injunction granted by Justice Diaba that very day, which had forced the inclusions of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa&Lumba, was lifted within an hour on December 12, 2025, because the applicants could not meet the exhibitants, which is the 20 million Ghana cedis in our old currency is 20 billion. Deposit imposed as a condition. This allowed the very funeral planning to resume, proving that justice often has a price too high for ordinary families to pay. In summary, the history of these cases reveals a devastating pattern. A lawful wife's document evidence was dismissed on hyper-technical grounds without judicial effort to verify it, while the contradictory undocumented claims of another were accepted based on the timeliness, most self-serving testimony. The lawyers for Mrs. Akosua Serwaa&Lumba performed their duty by they argued before a court that applied two different standards of proof. The names Justice Dorinda Smith-Atta and Justice Emmanuel Kofi Diaba are now entirely linked to this case. One for upholding due process, and the other for presiding over a final judgment that has become a benchmark for judicial failure and injustice. To continue with the justice denied, legality and inheritance fraud. The judgment delivered by Her Ladyship Justice Dorinda Smith Atta in the case of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu versus Abusuapanyin Kofi Owusu and us is not merely a legal ruling. It is a formal blueprint for injustice. It satisfies through a video of judicial procedure, a comprehensive campaign of inheritance fraud, and the denial of fundamental legal rights. Let us desist how the court's own actions facilitated this fraud by violating core principles of legality and evidence. The abrogation of legal duty, the German handling of the plaintiff German civil marriage certificate. The judge identified a procedural requirement, authentication under Section 161 of Ghana's Evidence Act, and use it not as a gateway to truth, but as a barricade against it. Failure to inquire, the judge acknowledged the plaintiff's difficulty in obtaining the required diplomatic certification on time. A court dedicated to justice has tools at its disposal. It could have adjourned to allow the proper authentication, issue a request for international judicial assistance, or subpoena the German embassy in Accra for clarification on the document format. Justice Atta did none of these. She performed a passive technical rejection, misapplication of fact. The judge fixed on the absence of sponsored signatures on the document, implying forgery. However, she admitted she is not a signature expert and made no effort to ascertain the standard form of a German marriage certificate. Had she done her duty to the truth, she would have discovered that such certificates are issued by the registry official and do not typically contain the spouse's signatures. Her ruling was based on an ignorant assumption about foreign documents. Evidential burden. By dismissing the certificate on these grounds while accepting uncertified videos, photographs, and the uncontrollable oral testimony of an interested party, which is Priscilla Ufori, brother-in-law, as a sufficient proof of a customary marriage. The judge applied two brutally different standards. This is not okay. It is a bias. It is a bias as procedure. The lawful wife's document proof was subjected to an impossible standard, while the claimant's undocumented assertion was accepted on the lowest possible threshold. 2. Sanctioning document fraud and perjury. The court's ruling effectively rewards the documentable falsehood. The single versus married. The single versus marriage contradiction. Priscilla Ofori owns swore declaration to the British visa authorities and in a company registration document where lying constitution a criminal offense states she's a single as of 2025. Her claim in court is that she has been married since 2010. Both cannot be true. This is not a minor discrepancy. It is direct, actionable perjury on matters central to the case. Justice Atter's judgment ignores this fact. Justice Atter's judgment ignores this fatal contradiction to her credibility. By validating her claim, the court has endorsed a fraudulent declaration to a foreign government. The fraudulent transfer of property. Inheritance fraud occurs when assets are unlawfully diverted from their rightful heirs. The material states that properties in Tantra Hill and Dome were built by Mr. and Mrs. Fosu. Yet, it is documented that Priscilla Ofori has given away these houses to her brother and his wife and his extended family. The court declaration of her as a surviving spouse provides a fraudulent legal cover for this theft. Okay. Sorry, let's continue. It transforms criminal misappropriate into a semi-legitimate act of a widow managing marital property. This is the very essence of inheritance fraud, using a false status to justify the looting of another's legacy. The complicity role of officers of the court. The fraud extends beyond the judge's bench. The on-authority lawyer materials raise serious concerns about a lawyer acting on behalf of Daddy Lumba's estate without a verified will or power of attorney from the lawful next of kin. This lawyer allegedly allowed Priscilla family to occupy and rent the Fosu properties. A lawyer's duty is to uphold the law, not to facilitate the unilateral distribution of a diseased asset against the interest of the legitimate family. This conduct, which should be investigated by the General Legal Counsel, is a professional enabler of the fraud. The financial coming, the injunction ruling by Justice Diaba exposed another layer of potential fraud. The court found it necessary to order the separation of funeral funds from the Daddy Lumba Memorial Foundation LBG account. This indicates that donation from the public given in memory of the icon were potentially being mixed with private funeral or other finances, creating opaque sludge found controlled by those seeking to exclude the lawful family. This is a gross abuse of charitable sentiment and public trust. Obstructions of investigative justice. True justice seeks all facts. The environment created for the lawful family was one of deliberate obstructions preventing any challenging to the emerging narrative. The body and the autopsy, the lawful wife and children were denied access to Daddy Lumba's body for months. Their request for an independent autopsy, a standard right to ascertain cause of death, especially given the unclear circumstances, was blocked. Without an autopsy, questions about the sudden death remain unanswered, and a fundamental tool for investigative justice was nullified. The false narrative of abandonment, the court, by focusing on physical separation, allow a defamatory and false narrative to stand out that Mrs. Fosu abandoned her husband. This narrative, crucial to the defendant's case, was disproven by evidence of her financial support, medication purchases, and visits. Yet, by not condemning this falsehood explicitly, the judgment lent it a shadow of legitimacy, further defrauding Mrs. Fosu of her moral and reputational rights. Justice was not merely denied, it was weaponized to retrace the judgment of Justice Dr. Dorinda Smith-Atta. Legitimized document fraud by ignoring incontrovertible proof of perjury. Sanction indicates sanction in the sanction inheritance, theft by proving a judicial stamp to the misappropriation of jointly built marital assets, violated evidential fairness by erecting barriers for one side while laying out a welcome mat for the other, enable financial by failing to condemn the alarming coming of public moral funds. This case is no longer just about the Fosu family. I repeat it. This case is no longer just about the Fosu family. It is a precedent. It demonstrates how a corrupt interpretation of procedure, coupled with a refusal to pursue obvious truth, can transform a law of instrument for ratifying fraud. The legality has been twisted to deny justice, and the inheritance has been stolen under the court's solemn seal. This is the ultimate denial. Abusiafo, engineer DSC, a solemn appeal to conscience and authority. Good. We have laid bare the facts. Okay, we have come. We have laid bare the facts. We have exposed the inconsistency, the procedural injustice, and the devastating consequence of a flawed judgment. Now, he turned from recounting this wrong to demanding its remedy. We appeal not with anger. Abusiafo, I repeat it. We appeal not with anger, but with a determined call for the restoration of order, of truth, and the rule of law in Ghana. I'm repeating myself. Me say, we appeal not with anger, but with a determined call for the restoration of order and truth and the rule of law in Ghana. To the people of Ghana and the court of public opinion, you are the ultimate guidance of our nation's souls. We appeal to your innate sense of fairness. Look at the evidence presented. A wife of over 30 years, a co-builder of a legacy, has been stripped of her status by a court that rejected her document on technicalities it made no effort to resolve. Look at the claimant who declares herself single to foreign government while claiming to be a wife in our court. This is not a complex legal mystery. It is a clear moral and factual wrong. Okay? This is not a complex legal mystery. It is a clear moral and factual wrong. We ask you to stand with truth, amplifying this story, demanding accountability. Let no one say that Ghanaians stood silent while such an injustice was perpetrated in their name. Abusiafo, we are demanding accountability. Let no one say that Ghanaians stood silent while such an injustice was perpetrated in their name. To the judiciary and the Judicial Council, we appeal for urgent review and introspections. The judgment in Mrs. Akosua Serwaa versus Abusuapanyini Kofi Owusu and us has shaken public confidence. When a court dismisses a core civil document without exhaustive forensic verification, while accepting contradictory oral claims, it sets a dangerous precedent. We appeal for a scrutiny of this specific judgment and the conduct that led to it. The judiciary must be a fortress of impartiality, not a stage for evidence. Uphold the integrity of your noble institution by ensuring this matter is revisiting with the rigor, fairness, and pursuit of truth that every citizen deserves. To His Excellency the President, the Attorney General, and the Ghana Police Service, we appeal for executive and investigative actions. This case has spread beyond a civil dispute into matters demanding criminal investigation. Investigate the circumstance of death. The family's right to an autopsy and transparent inquest into the death of Charles Kojo Fosu has been obstructed. We appeal for state intervention to ensure this occurs. Please, Mr. President, we appeal for state intervention to ensure this occurs. Investigate potential fraud and perjury, the glaring contradiction between Priscilla Ofori's sworn single status on official document and marriage claim in court demands a criminal investigation for potential perjury and fraud on immigration and corporate documents. Investigate the misappropriation of assets and funds, the alleged gifting of the Fosu marital properties to the family of Priscilla Ofori, and the coming of public funeral donations, as noted by the High Court. Okay, as noted by the High Court, must be investigated as potential thefts and financial malfeasance. Investigate the conduct of the unauthorized lawyer. The Ghana Bar Association must urgently investigate the lawyer who has allegedly assumed control to estate assets without legal authority from the lawful family. Please, Abusiafo, I'm repeating this for the Ghana Bar Association, must urgently investigate the lawyer who has allegedly assumed control of estate assets without legal authority from the lawful family. To the chiefs and traditional rulers of Ghana, the traditional rulers of the Ashanti Kingdom, we ask that you use your rights standing in society to bring about justice and fairness as according to tradition. To the diaspora, our family abroad, we make a special appeal to you. You have seen how the lawful wife and a diaspora Ghanaian like many of you has been treated. If her legal marriage can be dismissed, her properties seized, and her rights voided, what security do your investment and legacy back home have? Your remittance contributing billions annually to Ghana's stability are sent with trust. That the trust is broken when the system fails to protect your own. We appeal for your powerful voice. Lend your influence, your networks, and your demand for accountability to this cause. This thing is about the diaspora. Okay? You need to lend your influence, your networks, and your demand for accountability to this cause. Your engagement is crucial. To international observers and human rights bodies, we appeal for your witness. This is a case study in the deprivation of a woman's right to properly inheritance and fair judicial process. Watch this space. Hold Ghana accountable to its own laws and its international commitment to justice and gender equality. Whilst I'm ending my statement, I'm going to the international observers and human rights bodies. We appeal for your witness. This is the case study in the deprivation of a woman's right to properties, inheritance, and fair judicial process. Watch this space. Hold Ghana accountable to its own laws and its international commitment to justice and gender equality. To end my press statement, our profound appreciation. In this difficult journey, we have not been alone. We concluded not with a note of despair, but with deep and sincere gratitude. We thank the moral and courageous members of the media, here present and abroad. Your dedication to uncovering and reporting the truth is the oxygen of democracy. You have given voice to the voiceless, and for that, we are entirely grateful. We thank the many legal professionals, academics, and civil society advocates who have reviewed this case, offered their counsel, and spoken out privately and publicly against the injustice they see. Your expertise and solidarity fortify our resolve. We thank the maternal family of the late Mr. Kwadwo Charles Fosu, especially his sister, Miss Ernestina Fosu, Mame Akosua, for their courage instant for truth within fractions family context, even obtaining a crucial injunction to halt and exclusion to halt a funeral. I think that one, we have a family member here who acknowledge or tell us something about that. We extend gratitude to the members of the public, both in Ghana and across the globe, who have listened, analyzed, and expressed their support. Your messages, you share outrage, and your prayers have been shelled against diaspora. Finally, we thank Mrs. Akosua, Serwaa&Lumba, and children for their unwavering strength and dignity in the face of a torrent of deception and institutional failure. Your fight is our fight. Mrs. Akosua, Serwaa&Lumba, your fight is our fight. This press conference is not an end. I mean, this press conference that we are doing is not an end. It is a clarion call marking the beginning of a sustained campaign for rectification. We will use very lawful and peaceful means available. We will not rest until the marriage certificate is recognized. The stolen properties are recovered. The body is respectfully laid to rest by his rightful family, and those who have perpetrated this fraud are held to account. The truth crash to earth shall rise again. We stand with truth. Team Legal Wife, we move. Team Legal Wives, we move. Team Legal Wives and Husbands, we move. Thank you very much. Abusafo, you come brofo na say you mo say yeti ti mo ba sire yan ya brofo nya ya kasa na ya me ncha de I me pancho maybe fi oma mususuma pressure no any too much. Why we na umre no enso no o de okwa na do achi agya nyame ya adoma obeti yenka na mama ya ade na mana ye mi bejai ama yewo proposal for the chiefs, which is our traditional council. Ye best say major ama my sister na wakan wi a mesrem na de yakan ni nyina ne bebo ne tofa e chi kasem ama ye nyina yate enho ase na enche no ne yadi jumedie no ayeden abaye mbacho say I don't know about the kind of bro. Yeah, me about the boni nyina ya kan ni nyina tofa. Me pa mo cho. I go for your mom pe. And so Kumasi International Airport wa anti Israel. Ye wi ya babo ni tofa na ye dia mamu na bibia awie peye because ye wo high court e wo Kumasi. Ye will be wa Accra. Ni nyina ye brofo ne ye de. Ye ka. This is so.
Subject humble request for blessing, demanding search for Daddy Lumba's body. Respected Otumfo Nana Osei Tutu II, we the Team Legal Wives and Husbands together with all supporters and lovers of Daddy Lumba, humbly seek your royal blessing and permission to hold peaceful demonstration in Kumasi. Our other mission is to demand the authorities locate Daddy Lumba's deceased body within 5 to 10 days, so he may receive proper funeral rites as per our customs. Purpose and details. Cause to call for immediate action to find Daddy Lumba's body and ensure justice, cultural respect for him and his family. Demonstration will take place in the Kumasi metropolis with a formal petition to be submitted to relevant authorities. Nature, peaceful march with respectful chants, symbolic placards, and adherence to our cultural values of decorum. We assure you our actions will reflect the dignity and expected to those who honor traditional leaders. We would be deeply honored if a representative from the palace could be present as we present our plea for ardent action. May the ancestors guide you and grant us success in finding Daddy Lumba's funeral. Thank you, Nananom. Thank you, Nana Osei Tutu II. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Press conference.
Ye boto kakra sabre ye baba be bone tofa awo ye santi kasem eni ye twi kasem mo amowo isrem mo amowo voter mo amowo sefi mo amowo ye kasa no ebia na santi kasa no monte ni ye I think say moko mokas ayi mo fidie no so a mo translate a ebetimi amamo ayede ati ase yeah menko good emsa tofa me ba bebo no efa eye brother ya die nyina yewra Mr. Charles Kojofosu a dodo na friend Daddy Lumba ne won sensem ya na ya ba betna ha ye hu abugo na die dikan ye chia Ghana mampanini yewra John Dramani Mahama ana eye Attorney General na yachia yanana opimso na nana osetutu otosu mienu nana we de memodi wi me mami muso a otosu mienu yanana no mo matwa asantima hu ahia yenuanom ene media mahyiamu enede yakasa dina ne se ya die nyina yewra Charles Kojofosu Daddy Lumba a dodo na freno Daddy Lumba no ahia na brabo ase no okopie mu wo amanone eye Germany abontin so die odikan ko Holland na moamani tua ya abrochire nkrata sem ni abrochire komodi enti BBC Emma yenia bema no esa ba ni chi na nyame nchade ne ho kani a oye ne ho ade ewo ema na busia ewo asante eye bom so hanom a esi 1991 no wa betim ni twi na de ko afe apem ahankro edi okro baako mo ɔne ne ho kani ka bɔɔ mu no ɛwɔ akan anaa yɛn amammerɛ mu no ɔmo tu kwan ɔbaa no ɛbɛfa ne wura ɛde ne kɔɔ te sɛ deɛ medi kaka sɛ yɛwura kɔɔ Holland no biribi nti ɔsaa n'akyi na enum na nyame ncha deɛ ni yɛnua baa ɛyɛ Akosua Serwaa fosu nyame yɛ na dom a ɔno deɛ aburokyire nkɔmɔ onyane nkrataa nti otimi de bɛfa ne ho kani ɛyɛ Charles Kwadwo fosu ɛde kɔka ne ho ɛwɔ Germany ɛhɔ na ɔmo bɔ ɔmo bra ana ɔmo de wo ɔmo ba a odi kan ɔmo ba na odi kan no yɛfrɛ ne Calvin na ɛhɔ nso so na no odi ne dwuma ɔyɛ ne nnwom busumi nsia na waba ɛyɛ Ghana nso so busumi nsia na waba ba be promoti anaasɛ waba ba be promoti ne nnwom a wadi hu dwuma no enum a no ne ne ho kani maame Akosua Serwaa ɛyɛ afi bia omukɔ na omaba one ne ma ewo mu a na ye bra Charles Kwadwo fosu eba bedru eye Ghana no na ewo se oyɛ ɔhwɛ na pomuden na pomuden no ema otu anamon one ne ho kani ni kan se opese opa Ghana na obɛyɛ 1 or 2 bi na osa sign na chi yɛden ɛkɔ nanso ye brother ni bedru ye no ɛhɔ no ma ne ho kani enyanti ye sɛ wɔno deɛ wɔngye ɛhɔ adɔkotafoɔ no enni enti nko bɛpɛ sɛ ɔbɛtena ne krom na ɔmahwɛ na pomuden na yɛ de ama no ɔbaa wɔdɔ ne kunu ɔse mira deɛ waka no masomu a matene dwo na yɛnya bɛma Charles Kwadwo fosu ebedu Ghana wɔse ɔhwɛ na pomuden no sɛbi ɔno ane nsɛm ka yɛ ne yɛ kakra bi a ɔyɛ yɛnti wɔntimi ankɔka ne ho kani ho ɛwɔ amanone nanso no ɔmudi nkɔmɔ na ɔmo yɛ ntotoyɛ bibi ɛsɛ fata sɛ okunu no ɔyiriye bia na ɔmo yɛ den ɔmo yɛ edidimu a na yɛnua Charles Kwadwo fosu ɛkɔba sɛ afei deɛ wɔntimi ɛnkɔ n'akyi ɔbɛkɔ kora wɔkɔ a enche no asasa n'akyi na enum nso ana oba betena ɔman Ghana mu no na mfie mienu bia efri 2011 eba bia no ne yiri a ye ne ho kani maame Akosua Serwaa fosu mfie mienu bia na oba ebehwɛ niwra ɛwɔ ɔman from 2011 eba besi na ọba bia nso a na ọba beto yenya ba eya Priscilla Ofori a dodo na frɛ no Odobroni na ọba beto na nyɛ sɛ eya ne kora ana ọba beto na eya sɛ niwura ma na so ate sɛ ọba yi na suso ni mu nkakra yɛ dɛ ɛwɔ fie ɛno wo de kɔbrɔfo a na ɔmo ka no maid na me ka no asante kasem nti wonna suso ni mu nkakra na mso suso ni mu nkakra no na ɔmo de awo nso ayɛ den aka ho na yɛma yi mu de unu obi tena busumi nsia ɛkɔ afe kora ɛyɛ na dodo na ɔno ɔba no kora to ɔsɛ meyere nanso amamra ni amane akwan so no na enye aware didimu a ana yenya ba no ede wo emumiensa si yehwa yamame Akosua Serwaa nyanti yese mira Charles Kwadwo fosu mate se abaya na woni ni wo fie ona minim se osuso wo mu kakra no one na wo baako mienu miensa ema yaya bra Charles Kwadwo fosu se me dofo pa ma de nyina Serwaa wo ye odo bibi saa nyɛ den ɛnni hɔ ɛma wawani tua ɔman a yɛtim wasɛm ba yɛ waduane deɛ yɛnyɛ den yɛnni na wasɛm ba deɛ a yɛbɛka obi hyɛ da twa mfoni de kyerɛ yɛnnua bɛrima no ɛma yɛnnua ba Akosua Serwaa ɛnua panyin ana ne nua panyin no ɛde mfoni ne ma yɛnnua Akosua Serwaa ɔde ma na entampamu na ɔsa de ma niwura sɛ niwura asɛm a na no gusu a maka no wei nso so ɛyɛ den sabita frate yɛn nyinaa yɛte yɛhu bi yɛn a saa time ne deɛ yɛhu bie yɛhu sɛ yɛn nyinaa taskwadwofo su na ɔkɔyɛ dwumadie bi wɔ amanɔne ɛyɛ lande ɛno nti wanhwɛ so ankɔ ɔde kɔɔ ne yere wɔ bɛrima asɛm kɛseɛ sɛ yɛasie ɛwɔ sɛ ɔkɔ na ɔkɔdwodwo ne ho kani no akoma nti ɔkɔe wɔne ne kɔkasae na sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ a ɔman no atesɛm bigidi yɛ sɛ yɛn a yɛn nyinaa yɛne afi a ɛduru 2014 ɛfiri 2015 ɛreba no na ɛwɔ mu a yɛse yɛn a yɛnnua taskwadwofo su ɔpɛ mmaa nti ɛno koraa nti wɔde bɛbɔ ɔmaa sɛ ɔne a wɔsɔre a wɔkyɛne dɛm nso yɛso wɔ no nam a wɔyɛ dɛ ɔyɛ mmaa asɛm yɛn nyinaa yɛyɛ awɛ ɛno nti yɛnnua taskwadwofo su ba a ɔman Ghana mu no ɔbaa ɔne yɛnnua bɛrima a ɛyɛ mediafoɔ yɛ bi antidosti ɛbɛdi nkitaho ɛma yɛn nyinaa yɛte sɛ ɔkaa sɛ at that time no ne mma a wawoɔ because na kasa na ɛkɔ abɔntene ne dɔɔso na yɛn nyinaa yɛnim sɛ yɛbrɛ taskwadwofo so nya ne nsɛm nyinaa na ɔka no abɔntene ɛti sɛ opie no so ɔbɛkasa pɛ na kyɛ sɛ asɛ buro nyinaa yɛ asi ɛno nti ɔba abɔntene bɛyii ano at that time 2014 to 2015 ọba bɛyi n'ano sɛ ɔno taskwadwofo su ne mma ɛyɛ enum okay ọba bɛyi ano sɛ ne mma ɛyɛ enum at that time no na ababaawa a yɛfrɛ no Priscilla Ofori na wɔwɔ fie a wawo baako wawo mmienu wawo mmiɛnsa nanso abra na yɛnnua taskwadwofo su ɛka na asɛm ɛwɔ yɛnnua antidosti hɔ no wanka sɛ wawo ɛnwɔtwe because na yɛbra taskwadwofo su ne yɛ maame Akosua Serwaa awɔ mmiɛnsa ana wawo baako ɛwɔ nkyɛn ɛyɛ ɔno anadamfo ana yɛnnua Akosua Serwaa adamfo ano ɔne ne tie maame Georgina ba ana Denise nso so ɛyɛ baabi a ne yɛwura taskwadwofo su ɛte ɛwɔ Akimota ɔbaa bi a ɔhyia no hɔ ɛbɔ short baako nti at that time na ɛma no yɛ enum na sɛ nke yɛde yɛnnua ba Priscilla Ofori ɛma no ka saa enum ne ho a na nka ɛbɛyɛ nwɔtwe nanso yɛnnua no tena afidi kɛseɛ so ɛne antidosti kan sɛ ne mma ɛyɛ enum but because sɛ yɛnnua antidosti nim sɛ atesɛm ne ɛma ebi wɔ akyire no nti ɔkyerɛ da saa pusu no ka kyerɛ ne sɛ na bra wɔwie a na ano ɔsɛ o ɔbɛhwɛ ahwɛ sɛ ɔde num bɛsɛ ka enum na wɔyɛ dɛ ɔwɔ ne ho a ɛma wɔn nyinaa yɛ dɛ ɛbɔ ɛsere nti enum ɛne yɛdidididia nyame nkyaadeɛ aten sɛ yɛnnua taskwadwofo su ne ho bɛdodo ne kakra na ankyɛ ne ho dodo no no akora ba abɔntene bɛka sɛ ɔyare nuru mfie mmienu ɔse less than 2 years ana ɔyare nti yɛ so yɛde ba asante kasa mu a na kyɛ sɛ bi a afe baako ne bosome nsia bosome baako bosome mmiɛnsa bosome nson ɛnyɛ mfie mmienu enti saa berɛ ni mu no ne ho tɔɔ no ankyɛ no ɔne yɛnnua yadeɛ nyinaa ɛyɛ great ampon nso yɛ ɛnwom a wɔn hyehyɛ yɛ which is 2016 a wɔn de bɛyɛ Hosanna didi mu a de bɛyɛ MPP foɔ nwom ni nyinaa na yɛnua Charles Kwadwofosu na ne mu ɔdi yie wotimi kɔ baabi odi ne dwuma sɛdeɛ ɛwɔ sɛ odi pɛpɛɛpɛ na ne ho ndodɔ no sɛ ɔda hɔnom a sɛbisɛbio wayɛ ɔhaw anaa tete ama abusua anaa wayɛ ɔhaw anaa tete ama ɔman no anaa wayɛ ɔhaw anaa tete ama obi na otimi kɔ ɛba ɛyɛ deɛ ɛwɔ sɛ ɔyɛ bia ɛnum a na yɛnyia Charles Kwadwofosu didi mu a ɛde bɛsi 2025 megidi yɛ sɛ 23rd June ɛyɛ bra ɔne ne ho kani Mrs. Akosua Serwaa&Fosu ɛkasa ya etwato na omudi nkɔmɔ by 23rd June 2025 ɛne ɛda etwato a yɛ maame Akosua Serwaa ɛne niwura Charles Kwadwofosu ɛkasa yɛ abra na ne ba wɔtɔ so mienu edi na woda no wa wani tua meme deɛ enra na yɛ meka akyire awoda me frɛ o maame ɛwɔ amanɔne ɛma yɛ dɛ medi nkɔmɔ bompa yɛ ma me ba saa na megidi yɛ sɛ yɛ bra Charles Kwadwofosu ɛyɛ ma me ba wɔtɔ so mienu ane maame Akosua Serwaa yɛ dɛ ɛwɔ yɛ ɛnu nti no efiri hɔ deɛ yɛbɛtea ne sɛ yɛnyia Charles Kwadwofosu ɔda ya wansɔre asɛm wo deɛ na ɛden na ane wan kɔka yɛdidimu ana abusua ɛbɛhyia yɛ ɛyɛ yɛwura Kofi Owusu ɛma yɛdi na wɔkyeda na after na wɔkyeda no ɛna kɔbae sɛ ɛyie ne da no sɛ yɛ maame Akosua Serwaa ɛdi ba nkrataa so koraa na kyɛ sɛ wadi afofi na kyɛ sɛ wadi bɛn sɛ ɔbɛba so sɛ ɔyɛ ɔyere na sabita frakyɛ awareɛ mu yɛwɔ mu mmiɛnsa ɛwɔ ɔman yi mu yɛwɔ ɛyɛ yamamrɛ awareɛ which is traditional marriage dodoɔ na afra no customary marriage ani yɛwɔ ordinance ɛyɛ nkrataa nso so deɛ ani yɛwɔ Muslimfoɔ nso ɛdeɛ ɛwɔ ha na awareɛ ni mu no deɛ yɛnim ɛwɔ ɔmmra ni mu sɛ woware amamrɛ deɛ no na sɛ wamfa ordinance na nkanwa wawareɛ no ɛhyɛ bɛrima no sɛ otimi ware bebree otimi ware bi ka ho na abra wobɛware ɛyɛ in ordinance no etwa sɛ woware baako pɛ untimi mfa obi nyɛdɛ ɛnka ho yɛbra Charles Kwadwofosu ɛne yɛ maame Akosua Serwaa abra mo kopie mu ɔkɔɔto no yɛnyanteɛ sɛ 2004 ana yɛbra Charles Kwadwofosu ne yɛ maame Akosua Serwaa ɛware wɔ ɛyɛ nkrataa mu a yɛfrɛ no ordinance marriage ɛwɔ amanɔne Germany omo ware ya no na etwa sɛ yɛbra Charles Kwadwofosu wayɛ bra ontimi mfa ɔbaa bia nyɛden ɛnka ne ho ɛnu nti ɔne ne yere Akosua Serwaa ɛna ɛhwibom ɛbɔ ɔmo brabɔ ehunu sɛnea Nyankopɔn de ɔmo bɛyɛ den ebesie ba yɛkɔpie mu court no yɛnyanteɛ sɛ ɛyɛ ababaawa Priscilla Ofori yɛ maame ka ne wasɛm mmerɛ bi atwa mu sɛ ɔne ne wura ɛhyɛ wɔ ɛwɔ no ɔno ba sɛ ɔno nso yɛ ɔyere na court ma yɛhunu sɛ court nsɛm kan yɛ ayɛkɔ yɛ nyinaa no yɛ maame Akosua Serwaa ɛde ne nkrataa ɛkyerɛ sɛ ɔyɛ ɔyere ɛde bra ɛbɛkyerɛ court ɛsan sɛ court ɛbɛnya brɛ na wɔma hwehwɛm ahunu sɛ nkrataa na yɛ maame Akosua Serwaa de baayɛ no ɛyɛ papa ana ɛnyɛ papa no court enyamre anhwehwem ye court ye ya ne se nkrata ye maame ne de baaye no enya krata papa na sabita frache yen nkrata ye bayire ni kontomra ye de nwo ekura so nchen yen ye kuro ye ditum se edimu ye tukwa ade ko baabi a ehofo no ehye ketene se ombehwem ahunu se sankrata ne edimu ana enimu etu omu wa namontuo bia omutu a omde behwehwem se Ghana yen krata ya ware nkrata no omuba behwehwem ma yehunu se edimu ba ne sen ana German dia ye de ba Ghana no Ghana ye court epeso kire se enimu abranso a German fo so edi aba se omu nkrata na edimu etini enim se court bema bre ama impo German fo aso ye wo oman Ghana mu ombeyi obi ama na ba behwe ama na hu se eye papa ni bi ana se eye boni ni bi bibi sansi wo court ebiam adansidi course wo court dan mu ho efri yewra o panyini kofi owusu enkrata wo de ba se ye nia ba ma kwadwofosu eware ye nia ba Priscilla Ofori no ni nyina na ye awurasem because ye ma expert share no na just say ye can say photo shoot ana omo de ba court na no ana AI ni nyina mu no court say enumom ana ese efata empo wona ye nyina ye wo man we ma ye nim se si ye wade a empo private one eye dan ya obenya abusuani ba ku mienu miensa bi eye dan ewo ho enso ye nya Charles Kodwofosu ni ye nya ba Priscilla Ofori aware omu ko ye bia wu omu nyina wu ana wo so omu wu ye ni nyina ebie ode owu di otwato eye 1989 ana di otwato ewu ye nanso ye nya ba Priscilla Ofori osi aware no 2010 2010 no me say sisu biemu a ye nya ba ma Charles Kodwofosu eni ye nya ba Priscilla Ofori aware no ewo court dan mu ono osi aware ni 2010 na minim say ye man ya yetimu yi obia ko ye aware a anya hwe se o ma na busua ni nyina akora nko ma busua ba ku mienu miensa bi ya dai ekoja no we so de ye nya Charles Kodwofosu ni Priscilla de ne de wo mu a omu free Charles Kodwofosu abusua ni mu nyina ewo court dan mu ho sem kanya ba woni se omu nyina wu omu so omu nyina wu no de otwato a wo wu ye etwato okra wu 1998 meanwhile so yenya ba ne se ya ware no aya 2010 saafo ni nyina eba ware ni bi nipa kra wodi orisa gu ye busua panyina asum no ono wo wu 1988 satan kra ni enya Charles Kodwofosu enye na adwene se ode nwomo eba abontere ama obi ayeden atibi sansem we nyina court se eno eyeden edimu ebiam abrantia oba court a wo se ono de oba ware ni bi na ono oware yenya Priscilla Ofori enia ba panyin ono na oba bedi adanse agitumu wo court dan mu wo se ampa yenya Charles Kodwofosu ka kire ni se owo yire a wo Germany nanso ntawantawa kakra bi na yede ewo ho eno nkire se obetimi agya saa na yire abeware eye na yire ketwa no nanso ni nyina chi no omubu nyiegu omasum ema aware ne koi according to eye oberima obedi adanse ema yenyaba Priscilla Ofori dodo freno Odobroni na we nyina course no court wono ma yagitu mu se eye nkrata ye ma me de ba ye a edi mu se oya oba awarefo no court se enye nkrata papa ntino yenya Priscilla Ofori eni ye ma me Akosua Serwaa enyina eyeye enti saa nkomo ya me born tofa wo court dam ene nkomo a me di etwato efa judge ne judgment o de baaye no entini yasum yeti ase a enyeye esanse oman no ewo mra yedibu yeman enya saa ensensem wei ene bema yemra no ayeden asesa eti yesre omampanyini yesre attorney general yesre mo amokabia ewom yana nanom mpanimfo Ghana man mo amokabia eyeye se asama yedidi yenua maame Akosua Serwaa fosu no yadwiri hu a enyeye yete ase a enyeye se yakase emra no enyese ya mitidi yese oyene ene beba omanim etisa mu behwa esanse saa atantia no ebaaye no ama yemma ya ni bi ana emma na sabi bema nkohu wo mo enkohu abusua no a o mo saya ware no sese o mati atesi baabi a o mbefa bia o ma yese somno ana o mo yeden o mo tale nkofo ekunu no enti yesra sanso ne ye brother Kwadwo fosu efri mu no onia nimpon ni nyia wodi nachi enya ne maami nyia bawo enya ne papa nyia bawo eye ni nyia woni ni free yafunu krom eye den ebaaye ya maami Akosua brempoma a friend Ernestina fosu obaaye oso opeso hunu ade a eku ni nyia no sabi woni ni nyia ne kasa ye ena toso miensa ana ni nyia no ote se waye den wa film ana opɛ sɛ opɛsɛ ohunu ade a eku ni nyia no sabi obaaye wa meye dede wo kejetia wa ma medina Kumasi adum sepane wo sɛ opɛsɛ ohunu ade a eku ni nyia no oman ni wo mra wo etuotu anamo sɛ obɛfa mra kwan so no de ehunu ade a eku ni nyia no ampa yɛkɔ Accra High Court emma otemuani a oteso eye Justice Emmanuel Kofi Diaba ene trans asem no so apa maame na sem odi kotu dwa eto anasum ohun se oman ya de emra na echechire oman no etu ofamra kwan so eka se de dikan ya papa Kofi Owusu oncha se mba onkoye yi a no peso ye no 13th December no de to so biem o mane na otwemi ensa so ni abusua ni nsia na omo enya totoye ene mani nyina na omo nya yenua eye Kwadwo fosu enho ayie na mfa asumdwe nya den emra ebiem oyese funeral home ma omo emma kwan fa eye amu no emma abusua panyin nkoye ayie onte se asumdwe ayeden ato kasa nyamu no eni don shiri mienu de yati ya ne se oman no temu ani no asa abetena se ansa na abusuafo no ebenya akonya akoye hwehwemu a yade ku ye nua Kwadwo fosu no gese omo di sika eya pepepe 20,000
2 million.
2 million Ghana cedis. 20 billion. Sa sikano. Mijidi yese ya ton Ghana bisi ya kwaje kwa na ya na ebi nu. Yenya mfammo oman no ho bredi ya ko ho bisi abo. Ewa amanone. Na yeda na okatra timamuni ba ko se onu nkofa sa sika ne mra se de kaga na yebeja besi abo na ke ye de toto ye ya so ni ye ya rezi sika ni ye de abu ye man anuti ye ma me ni ye nua Kwadwo fosu abusua na enya sa sika ni ti no ma ekwan se e wo se abusua na ye de ekoye omayi amanya ampa yenyina yetetu ye koso eye sololoku funra ekoso wo eye Kumasi Sports Stadium eniamo wonsam funra ye ewo Kumasi Sports Stadium na emo yenyia taskojofosu eni na busuapani Kofi Omusu de record o maseti wo program empo etemwafo kra ni osetu na ye bowudin a ye wuka asori ko di ma ko jo sori na we dia ye Serwaa dawo umma ye dia zabu ye nsayem ya tawo nyina se na sifo umma afye eba Mesha na tia me hinfo na ko so hine na mesre na nanu nyina se mun kabi mai ni enwuru ye nya jaskojo fosu ni nye ati se efata efama na kada amchidi ese ye ma ye so ye nya no ma na ma mu wo amanone mu nyina mo ni twie ma mo hwe ye free bebre mu nyina mu hwe bi ekwaya ye di ye ma me Akosua Serwaa afaso yes te na bi ente ya esre Mr. Tabi Akosua Serwaa Fosasem. Ebra wo bitini emra so ho. Na certificate no. Chemuru se wives. Srebo, Opanyini Srebo. Yama Makutoro Usu Mame Agnes Uso Yemu lawyer Ati no anyamo kese media no so yadamase obi bia oba ai yamame eye eboa busia na afia kobi nso nyame hra na before amanu besi no yamame ene nana ede o manu di se kakra bi betu dwa no madamase maame de madamase
Why not go for my you? I'm going to sound of the heart drink. Yes, this sound of the heart drink. This okay, mammy, if you could be so because okay, Mattia, that's just like that. That's been telling I think so. Life program to be functioning. They are my said I see it right. So, if you have a casa, you take so.
Sister, hey, I'm sure that the Lumba Mame, so I Casa, Nanafia could be so Casa. Controversial Papa J. Oh, maybe I'll also interview.
That's okay. I'm the better. I'm on my side.
Medical Srema ba ko se Nyankopon o hyiram odopa wani akyere ye busu. O musa busu apanyini edi yapro. Bu asekase mai pa. Meti ya mi hu bi da na meti ni mpanyi sam da se. Obi ewuo na ye hu ni fu beto ne. Ye brepa o. Oda na kwodi ogina wo. Ye besra mo se obi akọ ni kotodo anim a omompa ma ekọ na ebusu asam da yeso pa ebi obi atimi ka de ope e de kire obi akase nanso Akosua brempoma eni yakuma yaso papa bi yenye ya se ye de pa Akosofo de be jana chirida ye tai no kura na chi asama aba enya asam kitu ebi wa ni je ebi su wa yaw na ye de ye de nkura na kasa eti ye mini mi ho adade kura o enam se odo ana pepe yenti ana megya ya maba betena Mumpo asabio misreme kaso munya abusua mpo. Hwe odo amayi ade a kyerɛ. Said your mother of Dabodo. Yes, you are to a visit. Yes, you are the odo ebe mudo. No quabia, ye pay him for no from the medical Miami back. Or 2 4. Mamma Cassa. Semi Bodia. Miss Sorry Nana. O bad and if your papa soon you him, our dear now. O mamma Cassa. And I mean to women now, and I'll have many proteins in soup. You were young, and I want a room. I'm saying, nah, there be a penny. Mimi Obama, my dear, Papa, what yes, row. The young police ropa, Nana, take out what it. Minister, one make a winning meaning. Let's remove Penny be or can be on be at as a mean who said you're missing Campo. Ubeda no Jina so. Ubeda no Duriha, Ubeda no Duriha, as some add Jim Maya. Let's remove a fool. What do on your pata? On your fool. There's so she said, Minty, lead me who beat them. They are timid, they are cutting. It's a good lot, yes, and I'm Mr. Mo. It's in any more every time. And I be a some way there be no correct. Woman no correct nerdy. Woman no correct nerdy. They are from Odobroni. Odobroni, dear. Where dear Odobroni, dear. Where prior Odobroni. So, all my dear. Decide your way. I have fun to see ye. Odobroni. Oda what Casun Timina. Maybe a massive Yamaka on the set. So many people, dear. You're ready. A quite how far so could you to me who are you really a can? Who could you baby and no sequence? No more work so. A corner busia. Who was a summer power, dear? Won't you to me? Let's remove a brace. Mumayo, would da, no more vampire, Monkai, Nimoya. Bring Poma, intimate, and pierce. What thou want to me know? Want to me now? There's no summon on my one, never can be a man. The best will be brave. The best room said, Moo ya mobo. A dear higher no. And so, a yet there, no crabbe dead. A yet there, no crabbe back. The beer no want to make catason, and so it's me piano being now. Mammy, a nephew child. Why didn't you now could do? Like I would see us here, assassin and sit down. Into about us a man pay. A slow and idiot. As some year bay, I just summon some phone and mobile one year, I don't do. And I say, why what it? Nadia no credit be a wanting so far now, Kumayo. Will be a winning baby, and no more don't see. Shed your mammy, Akosua Serwaa. Then so numbs and you so bagana crown. Want to me, ma. Yes, we can send you see. That's what the Akuma power no do we ata obechi ene mo na na echi a amen mo nyamo aba ekuo na abusua mu a na side esere wo be say mu hu ye mobo na ba bia no kura da bia kokoto ba bia no kura da biara ya panifo na nanom yes ye ka akire asante yi ma de nyina mesere hu ye mobo wate na ka bi mai Sesi etu yeni baby ekodo ne sampo anasa na basampo edda. Obi busa wa obi kasa de wo a woto fra wunye nipa na okasa abusua na de na moto na efuna tim esi. Na esu ni nyina ya ade ba. obi biara ota sa asem mu bia de onyankopon na ade nyina ewo no you say ye bebre de na so no kre ebede ini shi ameka kire obi biara de asida eni ka bia de de obi biara se kwani akotin na mode mbo a mo bo ye hu ni nyina monyere mo onyankopon betu su pa amen. Ayi sisu de e kwa soroba e ba fo ye be ye ya de kakra sa na esi se ye ntimi nye kobi ayi ese o ye nipa o ya de hie ti esra mkwane amode e ye de ya ebebe ntimi da masi bebre na mi shira mo
I abroad our Casavia, you bet to a sedan so. Why?
But you're going to come in the first place, team legal wives and the husbands, they are said that about Ukilia Ponyapo. Now, the bedam penny for in answers. Now, Yada media no swas, and Mona Modern 70 call. She will get in a mission. Now, Kakra, the president, can say. And idea you move be you bet me acting now. Now I say Ghana Mrano, then Nanano. But enrich me video be a nama me agrada kasa. Says we ain't hear me. Now buy the bonia, Konako Pacho. If you say always car or ways and means are obey to the Pia want. You shut cream wet here. Me think be a mechanic, and I'll keep saying it. And idea me can't throw. My wedding be pain. Wedding a walk room. We are legally, you have no rights over Chimpanampo. Not to talk of somebody while wedding. Now you say, no kunu aqua Chimpananti, Yankas and Impranso, legally in Ghana. I'm a Kobia because Chimpanaba, and I'm a Wally Guye. A Baba could appear more, a bit a mass 7 appear. The CN to say. Yabanumbuye, team legal wives and husbands. Ghana brother de say ye record to emu na mfa it will go court to emu and far ye be call to the Supreme Court because we want to test the law. Me tu emu oma wo hwe be bia won ma say ye nhwe mbra ne ye ne asem mbra ne ye wunu ye kwa ye chi be say dachi ade anya no na enye na me te se obi ka say Akosua Serwaa no kwanso be ye Akosua Serwaa no kwanso be ye I just want bomb na wunima de and obi ka sanse mu no. Go and read Ghana law. Kono mo kan mra ne me say mo mpa lawyer bi obi kan mra ne de achem say ye mu bi ye nkwasiafo. We have lawyers. We have classmates of real lawyers and personally you can say lawyers for Kumasi. Mr. Mo eyi ne de say ye po Yempo, abroti asio, abrowo, that do me no. The wife I won't cancel, Tirasi, no Suyebi. And the American women are Montias and say, that lumbe ye, Munkoye, more than to the solo quay, a fee baby ye Kasa, or missing a body do ye. No fun. The late Paul Ekwekofi, over London. Yan fa ye ni ehun body da she tire appreciate na yi obi okoli bi owo nsuom a ye ehun body ya nye na yi ye wo bi a car accident car share ama body share ye ntimi aneda no ya nye na yi she di obi wu ya ye ehun no a ya nye na yi no sa na da dulu man so wu ye ehun no It's your own concern. The year, what was shaman? What was whom that Lumba? See other than Minimito, Chamitifuso. What was whom that Lumba? What was media from Papa and said, what was whom see another Lumba? Name Minimiti at 2 hours sentiment. We are on any, but I mean business. Yet now, I'm penny for being Sagan and Brano, Wabre and Murano. We are wedding now. Who know price of Kempina, and that's a fact. She best media they say. Didn't I say any other sign in the air? Why would not tell it to Mokopambi? Why would you go Kopambi? You be ye, you be me, you swear fair. A year way, we never shall fair take me. I can't wait to say. And then, don't know man on it, a bit more crying, a more broken. Whatever you find yourself as a team legal wife or husband, boss, sad and also now we are the gym part, me and 2 pound in every anything. Because we want to prove to the world that Lumba here and yes, I had the phone on here. We are ready to do funeral for that Lumba, no solo party for that Lumba. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
About more questions beyond babies and answers. Legal wives. Ashanti Queen. Nana Akosua, Mame, Fiara, Christo D. Ashanti Queen, guys, Josie.
Obibia Swasi, Yamame Samson, Mind Wage, Queen Emma, Obachi having power. Kwaku Christo, Abna Papa B. Yet there will be beer. Mother, that's a dinner here. I dear Ashanti Queen, Abna Papa B. Royal. Oh, Obio, devoted whom I to legal wife, shut up, Obia, yet there will be beer. Tragic, Titupa, Queen Emma official, Queen Eradi on shrub, Nashmi, a good year, the great, Her Majesty, Obia, Oboye, Emma, Team Legal Wives and Husband, Emma, your trim of pork, any peppery your eye, Pesse, Emperor, Emma, Yamami, Akosua, Serwaa&Lumba. And in the immediate family of Charles Odobroni, that Lumba. Yada obi bia se radisha obia akoto otin sabato jese edina doso yamu dia Captain Caesar erade onshra Jomana James Long obia Ashanti Queen his royal Ekuya Brempe obia o involve in ho appear to obia yada obia Eradi on show bibia yani so mumre musika madaje mamu dene father one yada obia's brako to media obia since they want a free court monya ye obia discount media and so eka obia mama odi anya blakaye na na papa bi enipa ne job omunyina e contribute omupua we so na we ya so omu na chinchina mu e ma ye ma anya kosi asewa na asema e ye mobo na ye abrebo enipa ama ene obia expanded by her. It's a radio show obia about the Team Legal Wives and Husbands. Obia or you go, you see around own shramo. We do appreciate every single thing. Wadaje musika dazi TV. Edina no modeba. Ebua na yore for fashionipa. Obia. Makoto papebi. Nashmi. Obechi having powerhouse. Chosi Yesuba. Trouble Carlos. Captain Caesar. Kwaku Christo, Abna Papebi 9th way, Mother, His Royal, Ashanti Queen Obia, Eradin Shamuna, Samson Wa, Eradin Shaw, Bia Dazi, Bracojo, Mida Obibia Ase. Yes, I mean, show all the legal wives and husbands. Some of them will cram, Kwama, Akosua trending, Eradi on show, Mammy, Delicate, Obia, Trini Jonas, Eradi show appeared. Obia,
training G's, US, Germany, Australia, Belgium, Australia, Canada, Hamburg. Baby Pierre would be a God bless you all. I love you so much. Nashmi, Akoto Papa, everyone, James Moore, Jomana, Oti, Nagudie, Nanaya Serwaa&Lumba, Tesedino Bibi, Baby, Joseph, Nanaya Opia, Eradin Shamuna. I love you, Mother Obia and it's now we life and color. Send your mammy, Nana Efia Kobi, Ampem Papa B, a Papa Chas Kojo for Serwaa&Lumba, ne mammy, Osie, you wadi come here to say that a year never for Greater Accra on the 28th and 29th March next month, a year ever so life. Enti ve Accra mpacho venue no enche ye de be o ye bema obia ehu venue no enche ye bema obia ehu venue bebe no Accra eradisha ebe ye celebration of life. We are celebrating our daddy Lumba. Ye celebrating of the celebration of life. Eradisha will be there. I'm running the S5 but as to the venue, we venue, but as to venue, but date and say, say, 28-29 March, and a year media no spend money. So what want to know this say and injection be abetoso and a number so am so no credit. Ye chi nya krata bia from baby say court atro say ye ntu ye ni sheda e mai ye ni say mremu so no enya de be but mun say so mai say e ye ni de say ye pro say ye mpo the best celebrate that no my life no am na efe. The better money na as. The must point na money mpes. Young one pie na so time so. Young one pie. Bloggers mun kata woni na young pie na me dey twa. Ya na wasi o twani point akopon so aye wo pe. Na wodi dwumadi ade abewie. Papa ye be chance edi udi na chance. Empo ye free ye fie ba. Wo na wo je tata je ababa ye de ba be duru asundwe mu. Awo Kumasi Stadium Hotel. Yadi jumedi ebewe ya yentimi fo aside ni. Ye kan se me akabia na eye wo na wo fa mu me kasa ye. Ewurade ma wo pa anya ho. Se maami Akosua se wo eye wo pe. Se eyi obeye ebeye nkunimdi ya Ewurade kire wotu. Wa ye bi pen. Ni nim so obeye ma na aboro. Nipa omo taye chiri. Nipa omo ji yedi. Nipa omo support. Nipa wa ka omo akoma. So omo mo maami mani nye nikunu eye mani nya akoro Ewurade ko so ka omo akoma da. Bini media for isha wonsa enye omoa akansama ye kenken kodrechi obi bia o ye blogger do you do radio station do you do TV station ɔde akomapa ɛne ɔdɔ ɛnyɛ gyidie ɛwɔ maame Akosua sɛ wɔ mu pɛ sɛ ɔboɔ ne hwɛ Ghana mmara no mu yie no papa kasa nipa no ho bɔ no ho ban bɔ wɔn de nam wɔn nyansa na nyame boɔ no biribiara wie a yɛbɛka sɛ yɛwɔ nyame ɛna wayɛ yɛkɔ fie o sɛdeɛ wɔde yɛ baeɛ no agya wadaroma fa yɛkɔduru asomdwie mu wɔdɔba no di mu nti no amen.
Right, I'm sure about some of the legal wives. I'm family number. Yes, it's legal wives for a press conference now. The sound did you know? The sound here was definitely. Yes, I was going to say, that would be a. Okay. But let me check where's up. Right, that is it. The press conference is over. Press conference. I'll bury you. Yes, I'll bury you. Yes, I'm sure for that is it. The press conference. Sabre and Mämmoth as well. Okay.
Dia ya duma yenya ayede Abrebia or Nebre, Sunny or Sam Kafo kind, so there is time for everything. And then that a rade aye, and I was a yes, and I aye. Session conform with Papa She, Conforted to and Commercial Society, legal wife who didn't want to Tanaka, and they met in a game now, almost a day or more annually December, about some 80 legal wife and husband, or more. Session will be so difficult, and now Kafam. May patch or your dasty. Also, make us say you will make us say, you did kind you be wa cry. I am some who ya Papa Evangelist Papa She on no base a cry. It's a craft for ye woman. It's now you commence for it's in your wapaye, sad and be evangelist and Yame Kayo. And Nutina ye be wa cry. And a Kumasa society, and I am Babo. The apostle wa crown on Yomokai and one I so yet. It's the same crank a papa to me cry by ya. It's the same thing now, Mokai. Tienina ye bako, dear ye can't have, and one are crab kind, they are crab for kind, and one yes so yaka. Intimate patch or Nintia.
What I'm a bit more walk in some kind, less than 1 minute. Wait my body tougher. Ye young pines and moves.
Me patch or dear ye caste pines here. Yes, to a fragan and penny for any one of can be a woman and say a percent pepperio. Because you see, justice delay is justice denied. It's your pepperio. If we are soon to be a dear pronounce a pepperio, Akosua, one, and a sabi your omra, it will grow up. Yan pesa sabi, yadi emra, ever say sem. It's a pepperio, na ye pepperio, they say, they deserve obiano onya. They will be deserving a Western and Saka, especially Yamamia Kotia say, wow. It's the Obia deserving and a Western and Saya day. It's a yes, some ya best can say. and no tia press conference they say we are Ghana mine and penny for Obia who say Mammy Akosua Serwaa Fusu. She is the legally wedded wife of Charles Kojofosu Odobroni and a omen jai not on your name on any worry. Ye men wait here, near Pesa Peppery also so dear woe piano was sending sack. Madam,
at the end, I can't wear my joining to legal wife.
Dear, I can't hear my joining to legal wife. Nene say, on say, Michelle, we are surprised. I dear, any obedient or nothing, the so forced to be Kundia, and I'm assuming it's not defeating in crab brim. Ever see by this time, no. Papa Charles Kojofosu deal. Me no. Yet say Akosua Serwaa enti no even na me Akosua Serwaa but na me penasem because of say that Lumba then ye dey e bonim enti sa we ne ba na msi daddy because that Lumba e free say me swaketwa and na face no me sa kra mu say abra that Lumba say me abra me wie me nyuma edi kan e da 3 good years na me ni oboafo enti oboafo no be ye ma me Akosua Serwaa enti ono dey produce no tini nyina aka mu bi na process dey eni pa say ye ntimi nyi e wo say me throw me support e de man enu tina me support e ma me Akosua Serwaa me so me da was your friend me Mrs. Owusu and baby.
That's all you're legally married.
Legally wedded wife.
Wow, we move.
Yeah.
It
doesn't matter. Our reality, maybe I'm just Majawa, but same legal wife. We are saying, Papa, that one, and I wanted that one. Maybe one later. Me titi a man for the and you might pronounce them. But the one made me life for them. And this is my Akosua Serwaa.
Okay.
Abia say me. And a chance this had the need me. And a chance in culture, Mubaya, 8 more. And can 2005, no be 3 years. Come in Sinipa, and me places. Me means to, but me my own system. And to me my own system, to me fast had any enemy. And to me, Tina, says we are still quite. Osha FM programs bi mo ye na the wa bema betimi oba betimi abo bema na ese ne yi a oba kire se tama na onni bi no ana na ofata wo onye bidia na nko wo bidia na nkenye ne class be oba betimi abo bema es obo na ne de oba ne ye good en se afọ penasem ya yire ya se ya yire ketwa Bema ninye bi afena for to be a war ba no ho no ye be ye pie omu ade te mana bema ni bi de no bu ade enti me de tutu mo sha man fa wale eya metai so be wa cause me ware a bema no be blame nsem ade so ne ma de ye ba
yes ade ne no
yes enti e say baby amadra me was 50 years me wale ye de na e say no anu no cause just say 50 years. Me 50 years. Meanwhile, I didn't say no one because say brother na mam both.
Akosua Serwaa.
Send here me timu jai me nema ton wo jom. E di jomata ale better the other. Come me some me different. Me
to Ghana food say Mama Akosua Serwaa enyo no ja that Lumba ho. That Lumba ja Mama Ghana. I feel so by 17 years and just say Mama Akosua Serwaa Ghana. No, Oba Ghana ma 2001. Oba ya no. Odobroni Odobroni. Aje Dani ya bosu ne busuafo. Jomo de ya that Lumba oya ti board.
Principal ne friend mu say.
It's a principal
na Serwaa no Oba Ghana.
Principal ne de madam me ka che ne say. Do de Mama Akosua Serwaa bia. E de ne bia de amanyame. Aha. Yo ne ode ye no so no be twa so ka. You be say can say me chen say kasa me too until this you say kasa agenda na wo ho no say sa 17s no eh never one 17 years no ba 2001 kra oba ye
yeah that's it
oba ye so no Mr. Chelsea, what was that? Aha, it's a pacho. The episode catcher among food and what to say. That Luma, when Jenny fear the real was just a one Jenny fear the real was just a one when Jenny fear that Luma, the jack was just a one bagana or buy no sono. Akosua se wodi the Chibagana. Emma 2001 or buy no much if you in the apostle. Emma that Luma the nebetna. Kimpo Phil Makati Hill. Or buy no sono across 4 nipa cross small momo corner sono. Ye nim yabe nim. Almost our born no so catch and say, all Konomo Magana beam so panem quandia. Or call ya no anything one Magana beam. And it's and one Magana beam. It's a person catch a man for say, Mama Kosa se wa oba. 2001 or buy Makati Hill no betnaye. Maybe Tiben or Makati Hill or one of betnaye. I'm Robert's bad so attack. If you are a man, one from Bamagana Bima, that Luma de Muye. Into a pan chow, or beer, come on, Casa de Luma, Akosua or Magana or buy. Or buy no idea that Luma wired to board to hold into me, and I shall say, way. Into our pregaya catch though. Mama Kosa say, one your mamma and won't turn on. Jan and your mamma, we are start checking account as I want to say, we are start checking, bury home. I remember go worry me and mamma, worry my mom bread. I was a drone out the year, no so you said, not to say. The bay, I had to come in the shade in a cosmetic, the shape remain for you. And the sound of my man, I know about one man, baby, come to me.
Right. So the press conference is over. Yeah, the BRC. So, what you pray? Yeah, let me sign out now for you. They're signing out now for you because the press conference is over. Yeah, so let's sign out. Okay. Yeah, so the press conference is over. So the team legal wives. And then actually and 24. Now almost I'm coming in at 1 second. And I'm saying I don't pay Eddie Ama, Yamame, Akosua Serwaa, and Omashasi Church and Semufu Ashasi, the one young same way shall say, the Akosua Amateur was at Church and so at the Ache, there was you didn't say which, in saying I'm the one, you know, I could give you a reservoir, let's wrap up with messages. Some of the messages are about you wrap you up with, oh, Zara, I see you look good. Broke up now, Mateo and Abna, Vedasi. Thank you so much for the compliment. Okay, Vedasi, Vedasi, Wapa. I also be also looking very good. Right, and see, me wrap up with messages now for your question. Emra, okay, okay. So, the sample every also well done, and I say it's better now. That was the sound. I'm fine to me. I didn't dear by you. If you know, you didn't cost one out of a sudden, out of nowhere, sound in the shots, yeah. Na hard things are the BSBI in Yamia. I feel some people say top wall and I feel I had Dorothy Fran J5496 and so every share no bomb and the attire. I feel Nana Akosua Chance, thank you, welcome now for representing my you're welcome. And now Akosua HM. I feel Joyce Lawson, and now Pierre. Of the Nabna share, I say thanks, bro, now for your hard work. You're welcome, Nabna. And it's up to say Akosua Serwaa on top. Okay, that was about the sound. So I feel a quick preference for show. Yeah, I was watching how I said, okay, I would say, I feel Della Holland and so every share. Yeah, I'm just saying, and I feel again, it's a super show now, or share in our comment section. I feel blessed child, and so I say, blessed child, I would say, I say, well, I feel Mommy, you guys have kept long in this tooling, because you are paying, okay, Matia, that's not confused. And I feel. Only I can answer to job. So we didn't have okay, didn't have a prima, but don't be so much of a Yamin Kayana. What is your one that's yes, moments and Yamisha and one kind of no thing. Reprim Yvisha, the side of by Christy, didn't come to Bye.